Hey everyone, ready to dive into some seriously creative stuff?
Oh, I'm ready.
Awesome. Today we're taking a deep dive into Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon.
Ah, a classic.
It really is. And this book kind of flips the script on originality, right?
Hmm.
It's all about embracing influence and like remixing ideas.
Totally. It's such a refreshing take.
So if you're feeling like stuck creatively or just want to add some spark to your work or your, hobbies or whatever, this deep dive's for you.
Absolutely. It's packed with great advice.
We're going to unpack Cleon's ideas about things like building a genealogy of ideas, and why sometimes productive procrastination can actually be like a good thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a fascinating concept.
There's just so much to explore. Get ready for some serious aha moments. What I love about Steal Like an Artist is how it takes the pressure off this whole idea that we need to be like completely original.
I know, right? Like, that pressure can be so stifling.
Totally. And Cleon just dives right in with that bold Picasso quote. Art is theft.
Oh, yeah, that one always gets people talking.
It definitely made me sit up and pay attention.
Mm.
So how does Cleon explain this whole nothing is completely original idea?
Well, he makes this point that every single creative work builds on what came before it.
I see.
It's kind of like, imagine this conversation that's been going on for centuries,
Yeah.
And you're just kind of joining in, adding your own voice, remixing what you've heard.
Okay, like that.
T.S. Eliot, the poet, he put it really well. Good poets, he said, weld their theft into a whole of feeling which is unique.
Oh, that's good. Weld their theft. I like that. So I get that, but how do we actually weld our theft without just, straight up copying?
Right, right. So that's where Cleon's idea of transforming your influences comes in.
Right.
He uses this really cool analogy of a genealogy of ideas, just like, we inherit traits from our ancestors.
Yeah.
Your creative DNA is kind of shaped by like your teachers, your friends, the music you're into, the books you read. It's all part of your creative lineage.
It's like your creative family tree. So it's not about pretending like we don't have influences. It's about actively choosing them.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And then the really cool part happens when we take all those influences and kind of transform them into something like totally our own.
That's the magic.
Yeah.
So kind of like, that economic theory that says your income tends to be close to the average income of your 5 closest friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's wild.
I know, right? It's a bit freaky. But Kleon applies that same concept to ideas. He calls it, get this, idea income.
Love that. Idea income.
Basically, we're only as good as the ideas we, surround ourselves with.
Mhm.
And his mom, she had a great way of putting it. Garbage in, garbage out.
Simple, but so true.
Right. So just like we're kind of picky about who we hang out with, we got to be choosy about the ideas we let into our creative world.
Absolutely. It's like being a collector, carefully picking what goes in your collection.
Yeah, I can see that.
And this is where Cleon's advice to copy your heroes comes in.
Okay, wait. Now, I know some people listening are probably like raising an eyebrow at that one.
Yeah, I get that.
Because isn't that kind of, unethical to just copy your heroes?
Yeah, it sounds a little shady at first, I know. But Kleon really addresses this head on. He makes a clear distinction between, like, plagiarism,
Right.
which is like passing off someone else's work as your own versus copying as a learning tool.
Okay, so how does copying actually work as a learning tool?
Think of it like a mechanic,
Right.
taking apart a whole engine just to understand how it works.
Oh, I see.
Or like a musician practicing their scales. It's not about the performance, it's about the learning.
Gotcha.
It's about like really dissecting the work of your heroes, figuring out their thinking, how their style came to be, even seeing the world the way they do. There's this great quote by Wilson Misner, he's a playwright, and he said, "If you copy from one author, it's plagiarism, but if you copy from many, it's research."
Ooh, I like that one. So it's not about mimicking like the surface level stuff. It's about going deep and understanding the principles behind it all.
Yes, you got it.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better about the whole stealing thing.
Yeah, it's more about learning and transformation.
Totally.
Yeah.
So how do we actually like put this into practice? Cleon's a big fan of using analog tools, even in this digital age. Why is that so important?
It's all about getting away from the computer, engaging your senses in a more tactile way.
Interesting.
Kleon actually found that, like, using a permanent marker to black out words in newspapers for his newspaper blackout project made the whole process way more fun and engaging.
Oh, that's cool.
He quotes Linda Berry, who said, "In the digital age, Don't forget to use your digits.
Oh, I love that. So it's like rediscovering the joy of using our hands,
Yeah.
actually feeling the materials we're working with.
Exactly. And there's just something about working with analog tools that unlocks creativity in a way that, like, staring at a screen just can't replicate. Tom Gold, he's a cartoonist, said working on a computer puts things on an inevitable path to being finished.
So you're kind of stuck in that digital workflow.
Yeah, it can feel a bit limiting, you know?
But with analog, there's more freedom, more room for those happy accidents.
Totally. It's all about embracing the messy, non-linear part of the creative process. Kleon actually suggests having both analog and digital workspaces.
Oh, that's smart. So you can kind of flow between them depending on what you need.
Exactly. So you get the best of both worlds.
That makes a lot of sense. So what about when we hit those inevitable creative blocks? Cleon has this idea of productive procrastination.
Mhm.
How does that work?
Okay, so it's all about recognizing that sometimes our best ideas come when we're not like directly trying to force them, you
Right.
know?
But like when you're in the shower or something.
Totally. Cleon encourages us to have multiple projects going on at once and just allow ourselves to kind of jump between them as inspiration hits.
So instead of like beating ourselves up for procrastinating, we should just embrace it.
In a way, yeah. It's about recognizing that creativity comes in waves.
Mm.
Sometimes we need to step away from a project and just let our subconscious like work on it in the background.
Okay, I can see that. Let it simmer a little.
Mayara Coleman, she's an illustrator, she said, "Avoiding work is the way to focus my mind."
Oh, that's so good. And it's so true, isn't it? Like sometimes when I'm doing something totally mindless, like folding laundry or whatever, that's when the best ideas pop up.
Exactly. It's about making space for those moments, you know?
Yeah.
Cleon himself says he gets some of his best ideas while ironing.
No way, really.
Seriously, it's all about allowing ourselves to be bored a little, to mess around and see where our curiosity leads.
Okay, I love that. So we've talked about embracing influences, using analog tools, even procrastinating productively. What about the, like, social side of creativity? Cleon has a lot to say about navigating the online world, right?
Oh, he does. And his golden rule is so simple. Be kind.
Always good advice.
Right. It seems basic, but it's so important, especially online. He reminds us that, and I love this, if you talk about someone on the internet, they will find out.
Oh, that's so true. It's like the internet is this giant echo chamber.
Seriously. So it's about, building a positive online presence and fostering genuine connections with people.
Yeah, being a good digital citizen, basically.
Exactly. Cleon suggests, like, following people who are smarter than you and engaging with their work. He even quotes Harold Gramis, who said, and this is great, find the most talented person in the room, and if it's not you, go stand next to him, hang out with him, try to be helpful.
Oh, I love that. So it's about building like a virtual community of inspiration, surrounding yourself with people who challenge you and uplift you.
Yes, that's it.
It's finding your creative tribe, even if they're scattered all over the world. Which leads to another point Cleon makes, right? The value of obscurity.
Oh, yes, that's an important one.
Well, what does he actually mean by that?
Okay, so he acknowledges that, especially after college, a lot of us crave that recognition, We want to get discovered, have our work seen by everyone. But Kleon actually sees those early days of obscurity as a good thing. He's like, enjoy your obscurity while it lasts.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because, think about it, it gives you this amazing freedom to experiment, to take risks, and to make mistakes without like the pressure of public scrutiny. You can try new things, figure out what works, and develop your unique voice without worrying about what everyone else thinks.
So it's like this safe space where you can like hone your skills without the weight of expectation.
Exactly. You said it perfectly. It's a time to really focus on the process, to play, to explore, and to, discover what truly excites you. It's like building the foundation for your whole creative journey.
It's like you're training in secret. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, eventually we do want people to see our work, right?
Right.
So how do we go from, being in that kind of obscurity to like not being in obscurity anymore? What's the secret?
Well, Cleon actually keeps it pretty simple, like surprisingly simple. Do good work and share it.
Okay. That sounds easy enough on paper,
Right.
but I bet both those steps are actually like pretty tough.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, doing good work, I mean, that takes dedication and persistence.
Yeah.
And a willingness to just like fail sometimes too. It's all part of the process.
Oh, absolutely. Failure is like the best teacher.
Hmm.
But then there's that whole like sharing our work thing.
Yeah.
That can be really scary. putting yourself out there like that.
Oh, it's totally vulnerable, for sure. But Kleon, he encourages us to think of sharing our work like not just as a way to get noticed, but as a way to connect with like other people who are into the same stuff.
Right.
It's about finding your people, your tribe.
So sharing our work can actually help us build community, like finding people who get it.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm.
Kleon points out that even like Bob Ross and Martha Stewart,
Oh, yeah, the icons.
I mean, they built their like whole empires by being super generous with their knowledge, showing their process, and that openness helped them build like trust and connection with their audience.
It's that human connection that really matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing good work, we're sharing it, we're building community. What about the importance of place? Does it like matter where we live and work, to be creative?
That's a good question, and Kleon has some interesting thoughts about that.
Yeah.
So he grew up in a small town and always kind of dreamed of living in a place with a big, vibrant art scene. And eventually he moved to Austin, Texas.
Oh, right, which is like known for its creativity.
Exactly, exactly.
So did he find his creative haven?
Well, it's kind of more nuanced than that. He actually discovered that most of his like mentors and people he collaborated with didn't even live in Austin.
Yeah.
He's built this amazing online community that goes way beyond, geographical boundaries.
That's so cool. And that's kind of the beauty of the internet, right?
Right, yeah.
We can connect with people from all over the world who share our passions.
100%. Geography is way less important than it used to be.
Hmm.
But even though he's all about the online world, Kleon also really emphasizes the importance of finding solitude and captivity. Even in this like super connected world.
Solitude and captivity. What does he mean by that?
It's about like really carving out time and space to just focus on your work, to be free from all the distractions. He talks about like riding the bus instead of driving, spending time in a busy barbershop without Wi-Fi, keeping his laptop closed at the airport, stuff like that.
It's about consciously choosing to disconnect, right? To make space for that deep work and reflection.
Exactly. He even quotes Franz Kafka, who said, "It isn't necessary that you leave home. Sit at your desk and listen. Don't even listen. Just wait. Don't wait. Be still and alone. The whole world will offer itself to you."
Wow, that's beautiful. I mean, Kafka said that like way before smartphones and social media and everything.
Right. It's a timeless message, even in this world that's full of distractions, that ability to disconnect, to be present, it's crucial for creativity.
But even though Cleon's a big fan of solitude, he also says it's important to, get out of our comfort zone sometimes and see new places.
Yeah, because travel can really open up our minds and spark new ideas.
Exactly. And he argues that even small changes like moving to a different part of town or exploring a new part of your city can shift your perspective and inspire you. It's about being open to new experiences and allowing yourself to, be surprised.
So it's all about finding that balance, right?
Yeah. Solitude, community, new experiences. Finding your creative community, carving out time for solitude, and being open to new experiences. What about those times when we just feel, creatively drained or just stuck? Kleon talks about the importance of having a hobby.
Oh, he does. He really believes that having something you do purely for the joy of it, without any pressure to like make money from it or share it with anyone, it's super valuable. It's a way to like tap into the pure joy of creation.
It's like having the secret garden where you can just like play and experiment without judgment.
Exactly. And sometimes, those passions that seem totally unrelated can actually like inform and enrich our main creative work in ways we never expected.
I love that. It's a reminder to make time for the things that light us up, even if they don't, seem directly related to our work or our goals.
Yeah, totally. And it all ties into another big point Kleon makes. The creative life, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
What does he mean by that?
He gets that there will be times when we feel stuck, discouraged, or even like we want to give up,
Oh, yeah. Those are the worst.
But it's in those moments that we got to remember why we started creating in the first place. Like what's the fire inside us,
It's about having that long-term vision,
Yeah.
right? And remembering that the journey is just as important as the destination.
100%.
Right.
And we don't have to do it alone. Like finding a supportive community, whether it's, online or offline, that can make all the difference. It's about having people who believe in us, challenge us, and inspire us to keep growing.
Like having a team of cheerleaders who are always there to support us through those ups and downs.
Yeah, it's about celebrating each other's wins, offering encouragement when things get tough,
Yeah.
and creating a space where we can all feel safe to, Try new things, take risks, and just be ourselves.
Hmm.
Be our true creative selves.
So we've covered a lot in this deep dive so far, like from embracing our influences to finding our tribe to cultivating a sustainable, like creative practice. Cleon's got so much wisdom and practical advice to share. As we kind of wrap up this part of our conversation, I'm curious, what's one piece of advice from Steal Like an Artist that you're going to try to implement in your own life or work?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's so much good stuff in there. But if I had to pick just one, it would be to really embrace the power of limitations. Like, I'm going to try to actually seek out constraints in my next project
Interesting.
and see if that helps me like break free from my usual ways of doing things and discover some new creative possibilities.
I love that. That's such a good goal. And for everyone listening, what resonated with you the most during this deep dive? What are you gonna, steal like an artist and make your own?
We want to hear your thoughts. Remember, everyone's creative journey is different, right? Embrace your influences, find your people, and don't be afraid to steal like an artist.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep diving deep.
I think that's such a cool idea,
No.
like using limitations as a way to be more creative.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, right?
Totally. It reminds me of something we were talking about earlier, Cleon's concept of like a genealogy of ideas,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
tracing back all those influences, like where'd they come from and how they, made us into the creators we are today.
It's like a family tree for your creativity.
Exactly. Where do you see that idea playing out in your own work?
That's a great question. I think for me, it's about recognizing all those threads that connect. Like my different interests that on the surface seem kind of random.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could be working on a design project, but then suddenly I'll see a connection to, I don't know, like a piece of music I love or a poem I read years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it's so cool to see how those influences kind of come together and make something totally new. It's like those light bulb moments when you realize like everything you've experienced has led you to this point.
Totally. Yeah, and it just makes the whole creative process so much more, I don't know, meaningful and richer.
It's like you're building on this rich history. Kleon also talks about how the creative life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are going to be times when you feel like stuck or just like over it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's in those moments, right? You got to remember why you started creating in the first place.
Yeah, you got to keep that fire going.
What are some ways that Kleon suggests for staying motivated? Like when you're in that slump.
Well, he says to just like stay in the game, keep showing up even when it's hard.
Keep at it.
It's about trusting the process, trusting that like those breakthroughs will come if you just keep putting in the work. And one of the best ways to do that, find your people.
Find your people.
Find a supportive community.
He really emphasizes that.
Uh-huh.
Having people around you who get it.
Oh, absolutely. It's about celebrating each other's wins, being there for each other when things get tough,
Yeah.
and just like creating this space where everyone feels safe to experiment and, take risks and just be themselves.
This has been such a great conversation. Steal Like an Artist, it's so much more than just like an art book. It's a guide to living a more creative life, I think.
I totally agree. It's about cultivating that curiosity, embracing your influences,
Yeah.
connecting with others, and just remembering that the joy is in the journey itself.
The journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
I love it. So to wrap things up here, if you're looking for some inspiration, a fresh perspective on creativity, or just some solid advice on, unleashing your own creative potential, go check out Steal Like an Artist. We barely scratched the surface here.
There's so much good stuff in there.
And before we go, I have one last question for you.
Okay, shoot.
Imagine you could send a message back in time to, like, your younger self.
Oh, wow.
Knowing what you know now about, creativity and overcoming fear and finding your own path, what advice would you give?
Wow, that's a big one. I think I would tell my younger self to not be so afraid to experiment, to make mistakes,
Yeah.
and to really just follow my curiosity wherever it leads, and to remember that like the most important thing is to enjoy it, to find that joy in the act of creating.
That's such good advice. And for all of you listening out there, what resonated with you most in this deep dive? What are you going to steal like an artist and make your own? And we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Remember, everyone's creative journey is different. Embrace those influences, find your tribe, and don't be afraid to steal like an artist.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep diving deep.